I said, "You're too young for an old rancher." And she whispered, "To me, you're perfect." The morning sun painted the wide fields of Montana gold as I stood beside the old wooden fence surrounding my ranch. My name was Daniel Carter, and for almost 30 years, this ranch had been my entire world. I knew every corner of the land, every trail the cattle used, every sound the wind made as it moved through the grass. The ranch had belonged to my father, and before him, my grandfather. It was the one thing I had left after life took away almost everything else. My wife, Emily, had passed away 5 years earlier. Losing her changed me. The laughter disappeared from my house, and the evenings became too quiet. I buried myself in work because fixing fences and feeding cattle was easier than facing an empty chair at the dinner table. People in town often told me I should move on. "You can't live alone forever, Daniel," they would say. But I never believed I would find someone who could understand the silence I carried. Then she arrived. Her name was Claire. She came to the ranch one afternoon in an old pickup truck that looked like it had survived 100 storms. She stepped out wearing jeans, boots, and a simple jacket. She wasn't dressed like someone who belonged on a ranch, but there was confidence in the way she looked around. "I heard you needed help with the accounts and paperwork," she said. I raised an eyebrow. "Who told you that?" "Your neighbor, Mr. Wilson." I laughed quietly. "That old man talks too much." Claire smiled. "Maybe. But he also said you were too stubborn to admit you needed help." I looked at her carefully. Most people avoided calling me stubborn to my face. "You always talk to strangers like that. Only when they're clearly guilty." For the first time in a long while, I laughed. That was the beginning. Claire started working at the ranch a few days later. At first, I thought she would last a week. The early mornings, the cold weather, and the hard work usually scared people away. But she stayed. She learned quickly. She helped organize the ranch records, repaired small things around the house, and even tried to ride horses despite falling off more than once. Every time she fell, she got back up. "You don't give up easily," I told her. She shrugged. "Neither do you." I didn't know what to say because she was right. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. Somewhere along the way, the ranch didn't feel as lonely. I found myself waiting for the sound of her truck arriving in the morning. I looked forward to her stories and the way she filled the quiet spaces with life. But there was something that bothered me. The age difference. I was an old rancher who had spent most of his life working the land. Claire was younger, full of dreams, and had a whole future ahead of her. One evening, we sat outside watching the sunset over the fields. She looked at me and said, "You seem quiet today." I looked away. "Just thinking." "About what?" I hesitated. "About you." She smiled slightly. "Is that a good thing?" I shook my head. "Claire, you're too young for an old rancher like me." Her smile disappeared. I continued, trying to explain. "You should be with someone your age. Someone who can give you excitement. Someone who doesn't wake up with sore knees and spend his days worrying about cattle." She stared at the ground for a moment. Then she whispered, "To me, you're perfect." Those words hit harder than any storm I had ever faced. "Claire." "No," she said softly. "You don't understand. Everyone sees your age. They see the gray hair and the years you've spent working. But I see the man who helped me believe in myself again." I stayed silent. She continued. "When I came here, I was lost. I didn't know what I wanted. But you treated me with respect. You taught me things. You never judged me." I looked at her. "You deserve someone younger." She smiled. "Maybe. But I don't want someone just because they're young. I want someone who makes me feel safe. Someone who makes me laugh. Someone who believes in me." The wind moved through the grass, and for a moment, neither of us spoke. I had spent years believing my best days were behind me. But Claire made me wonder if maybe I had been wrong. Over the next few months, I stopped fighting my feelings. We took things slowly. The people in town had opinions, of course. Some thought it was strange. Others whispered that it wouldn't last. But Claire never cared. One day, while we were repairing a fence, she looked at me and said, "You know, people will always talk." I smiled. "They always have. Then why worry about them?" I looked at her. "Because I don't want you to regret choosing me." She placed her hand on my arm. "Daniel, I didn't choose a number. I chose you." That sentence stayed with me. A year later, the ranch felt different. Not because the land had changed. Because I had. There was music in the house again. There were flowers on the table. There was someone waiting for me after a long day. Claire brought back a part of me I thought was gone forever. One evening, we stood near the same fence where we had talked about age and time. I looked at her and said, "You know, I used to think I was too old for you." She smiled. "And now?" I looked across the ranch. "Now I think I was lucky enough to meet you when I did." She leaned against my shoulder. The timing was perfect. I laughed. "You still believe that?" She looked up at me. "I do. And for the first time in many years, I believed it too." The ranch was still old. The fences still needed repairs. The cattle still needed feeding. But my heart was no longer stuck in the past. Because sometimes, love doesn't arrive when you expect it. Sometimes, it finds you when you think you're too old to begin again. And sometimes, the person who changes your life is the one who looks at you and sees not your years, but your worth.